Today we're going to be talking about lesson 3.3 on solving equations using addition or subtraction. So on your guided notes, I want you to add a few terms. So the first one is inverse operations. So inverse operations are opposites. So for instance, addition and subtraction are inverse operations. We will be using a method called balancing the scale for solving equations. This is the method we're going to use, and you will continue to use this method over the next several years as you learn about equations. So here I have kind of a picture of a scale just to kind of help you imagine. So what the balancing the scale method is it just says that whatever happens on one side has to happen on the other side. And when we're talking about one side versus the other side, we're talking about the two sides of the equal sign. And what happens is by doing the same thing on both sides of the equal sign, it keeps the scale balanced. Because if we look at the scale like in the picture, we probably can all imagine that if we put too much in one side, it's going to dump over and spill. So it's important to keep them balanced. So let's take a look at a few problems here. So the first one says p minus 5 equals negative 2. So we want to ask ourselves, what is the opposite or inverse operation of minus 5? Well, the opposite of subtracting is to add. So we're going to add 5 on both sides. And we want to show that just like this. So minus 5 plus 5 cancels out. They're opposites. They make it 0. So we're left with p. Negative 2 plus 5. Opposite signs, we subtract. 5 take away 2 is 3. And we keep the sign of the larger number. So here we have p equals 3. On the second one, the opposite of adding 13.2 is to subtract 13.2. So again, whatever we do on one side has to happen on the other. 13.2 and negative 13.2 make a 0, so we're left with W. 10.4 and negative 13.2 have opposite signs, so we have to subtract. Remember that we're always going to put the bigger number on top. So when we subtract, you'll have to borrow. 12 take away 4 is 8. 2 take away 0 is 2. Bring that decimal point straight down. Now keep in mind, when we have opposite signs, we keep the sign of the larger number. So W is equal to negative 2.8. Now let's take a look at number 3. So I want you to think about what is the opposite of subtracting 5/6 and try to show your work before we move on. If you said the opposite of subtracting 5/6 is to add 5/6, you are correct. So when we do this, we have a 0 pair, so we're left with x. Negative 1/6 plus 5/6, same denominator, so we can combine. Opposite signs, we subtract. 5/6 take away 1/6 is 4/6. Keep the sign of the larger number, which is positive. Now, because these are both even numbers, we should be able to see that we can reduce them by dividing by 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2, and 6 divided by 2 is 3. So x would equal 2/3. Let's take a look at number 4 now. So it says a company has a profit of $120.50 today. This profit, spelling error there. This profit is $145.25 less than the profit P of yesterday. Write an equation that can be used to find P. So we're trying to find P. Now, I've kind of underlined and marked a few things here. So we know that we have to use the variable P. Whenever we see the word or is, it typically means an equal sign. So profit of $120.50. This profit, so the $120.50 is equal to, so we're going to start by writing our $120.50 is equal to $145.25 less than P. So we can write this like this: P minus 145.25. So this says $145.25 less than the profit P. So this is the equation that we can use to solve the problem. Now for a little extra practice, I want you to try to solve this one for the variable after we're finished. Let's take a look at one more. So it says you have negative 12 points after level 1. Your score is, we know that we just have negative 12 points, is 27 points less than your friend's score. What is your friend's score? So we want to think about what variable would make sense. Well, we're looking for a friend or a score, so maybe an F or an S might be a good one. So I'm going to use the letter F. So your score, negative 12, is 27 points less than the friend. So friend, take away 27. What is your friend's score? So now go ahead and try to solve this and come back in a minute to find out what the answer is. Now, you should have started by using the inverse operation. So the opposite of subtracting is to add. So we're going to add 27 to both sides. This makes a 0. We're left with F equals opposite signs we subtract. 27 take away 12 is 15, and we keep that sign of the larger number.